This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
New York's talk station with the king of New York, Curtis Sliwa, 77 WABC. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
The fire. Well, guess what? We think we know who did in Prospect Park. And hey, Brad Lander, a guy who couldn't be picked out of a lineup, controller of the city of New York, a clone of his buddy, comrade Bill de Blasio, the part-time mayor, the dope from Park Slope, who single-handedly destroyed the city that we love. Fellow residents side by side in Park Slope, Brad Lander wants to be our next mayor over my dead body. Was out in San Juan, Puerto Rico at the Canado, where they were having their annual conference Somos, the Democrats, after every election. They go out there offshore so they can get wine, dined, and pocket lined by all the lobbyists. And they have a party. And so blocks from where he lives, next to de Blasio, 7th Avenue and 11th Street in Park Slope, Brad Lander decided, from the coolness of being out near the beach, I guess drinking his little drink, with that plastic umbrella in it, that he would tweet out that the fire in his beloved Prospect Park that is now blown up twice, Friday and Saturday, was the result of Donald Trump and his desire to drill, baby, drill, and burn more fossil fuel. Now, I don't know, maybe Brad Lander was stoned, Nancy. Maybe he was smoking some Maui Wowie Hindu Kush there. Who knows? The guy's that kind of a Park Slope guy. Just like Bill de Blasio, puff, puff, pass. Why wouldn't they? But does he realize that President Donald Trump has not been president for 4 years and could not conceivably have had any role in the fires that broke out in Prospect Park on Friday and then again on Saturday?
I think he's going back into a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away when he did impact something.
Yeah, I think maybe he's dropping some acid, maybe with Aaron Rodgers, who knows, of the Jets. But it now turns out, according to the fire marshals, that this fire may not have been the result of the fact that there is no moisture, that we are in a severe drought-like condition with leaves dropping on the ground that are like almost like charcoal briquettes for any fire. That this may have been started in a hobo jungle that I got to tell you, we warned people about over a year ago, Nancy. Can you remind them of what was the situation you were personally involved with that involved a homeless guy in Prospect Park who was attacking women who were walking their dogs in the wee morning hours?
So this was obviously a woman who was walking her dog. That's kind of typical for the time, like early morning before people go to work. They're jogging in the park, walking dogs, things like that. So one of these known homeless individuals, clearly disturbed, had been, frequently bothering people who came into the park. And this one day just happened to target her, fixated on her, started to attack her with a stick. And then because she had her dog with her, I think his name was Moose, he started to then attack the homeless man who was attacking her and wound up getting beat. And then the dog, succumbed to the injuries, I think like within a week or so. And this started like a series of months and months and months of trying to get the cops to patrol and really be mindful of this situation that was occurring in the park. Like there was vagrants who were living there who are constantly either loitering or going after people as they're getting off the train, as they're coming into the park. And the cops were just very hands-off, not willing to do anything, to the point where she had even found him again. She had seen him, and they're telling her, oh, track him, follow him. It's like she has to do so much of the job, and they didn't even come out. So, just making it very difficult.
Well, they built a statue to Moose, the dog. I assigned guardian angels to patrol there. And not that the cops didn't want to go in there. They were being rebuffed by the local officials. Hanafi, the city councilwoman. Oh, I hate America. I hate cops. Stay the hell out of that park. We need to keep our homeless in that park. We don't need you extricating our homeless people. Well, it turns out that after the first fire that took place all night long from Friday into Saturday morning, the fire marshals went deep into the park, even into areas that I haven't been in a month of Sundays. I should have been checking them out. And they found tons of charred garbage. Found amongst them in 5 separate encampments were the following items: beer cans galore, suitcases, baby carriage, air conditioning units. It looked like an old-fashioned hobo jungle. I remember seeing a hobo jungle by the tributary that led to Spring Creek, which was right over by 108th Street and Flatlands behind the Seaview Bowling Alley and Kentucky Fried Chicken. It led right to the dump that was right on the Bell Parkway. And they had a hobo jungle over there, same kind of situation. And our parents would always tell us, stay away from the hobo jungle. The hobos will grab you, will stick you under their trench coat, and will take you, and you'll end up in the hobo stew that night. Oh, yeah, we avoided hobos. We were paranoid. Oh, he looks like a hobo. We better go the other way. And we could see them in the distance because they were on the other side of the creek. You had the Canarsie Indians, the few remaining that were on these stilted little houses that were over the creek.
No, really?
Yeah, the few remaining Canarsie Indians. And the place stunk up. But the hobos lived on the other side. And so we were warned, do not go on the other side. It's Starrett City now. And that's where A.R. Bernard has his mega church. I keep trying to tell him, let me come to your church. I'll tell the story of the area. Yeah, okay, we'll get in touch with you. Yeah, no. Eric Adams, are you available next week? You want to come and speak at our church? So I know the history of that area. And even though it has really not anything in common with Prospect Park, but Nancy, you've seen the homeless encampments in Central Park.
Yeah, so in Central Park, specifically the Rambles, I've seen them. So if you're there anytime early in the morning, you're definitely going to catch people who've been spending the night there. Sometimes they'll just leave. So you'll see them leaving for the day. They have, series of carts and things like that, hanging out in the gazebo areas. I mean, and again, the thing with the Rambles is, I think the same setup as the Prospect Park. You have a lot of areas that are off of the main beaten path, so it's not the walking spots like normally where the tourists are staying. It's certainly not where the cars are driving, any of the police cars, security cars. So you really have to go further in and know what you're doing to go into like the area like the Ramble. So I think that's the same area in Prospect Park where these people were hanging out. You go far enough where you're not going to get a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah, I take myself to task. I'm in that park from time to time. I really should have gone deep into the park. I've been there before. And you can spot them because they have the tents up now. See, it's a lot easier to live in a tent with all this debris around. But, the mayor, he stood forthright, Eric Adams. He was out there to the break of dawn. He was not in some nightclub to the break of dawn. And he wanted to remind everybody that under these drought conditions, the number one way these fires could be started with everything so dry in the parks and the leaves everywhere is please don't barbecue.
No more doing barbecues.
No more doing barbecues.
Well, look, it could have been, right? Because they did find a barbecue there.
Wait. Let me hear that again. Hold on.
No more doing barbecues.
Yeah, that's his remedy.
Although I'm still a little confused about the AC unit.
Yeah, why would they have an air conditioning unit in the hobo jungle in the middle of Prospect Park?
Boggles the mind.
But this is not where most of the fires have been. We've lived the last 2 days, Nancy, where you have been complaining about the stink that has been coming over, wafting over the Hudson River from Jersey. Yeah, it's Jersey people in Rockaway Township. It's Jersey people in Pompton Lakes. It's their forest fires out there that have been causing this smell, this stench.
I think we have a cause of action against them for that reason. Think how many people, their quality of life was affected. All the businesses who couldn't have their outdoor seating area during this nice weekend. So I'm just saying, I think there might be a potential lawsuit against Jersey.
You think, Counselor, you would be willing to draw up the paper, if nothing more, to put fear, fright, and hysteria into the Attorney General of the state of New Jersey, who, by the way, is at odds with half in the bag Murphy?
Yes, I think that we have a good cause of action. I don't think they were as concerned because it's on the perimeter, so they figure, if anything happens...
Well, just know this. Just know this. I'm a little reticent to take on Murphy because he has been the only official of late in this drought-like conditions with all these fires going on in Connecticut, in New Jersey, New York State, throughout the Hudson Valley, Dutchess, Putnam, the Catskills, and obviously even in Long Island, where you lived in Suffolk along the South Shore. And even in Clove Lake Park, 4 of them, where Frank Morano was probably barbecuing. But Frank Morano was probably doing what Eric Adams said that you should not do, with his son Carmine and with his wife Rachel. What was he doing? Hey, this is not, you don't have to be a Mensa to figure out.
Doing barbecues.
Yeah,
no more doing barbecues.
Yeah, okay. Frank Morano may well have been doing a barbecue in Clover Lake Park. They've had 4 fires out there in Staten Island. But I want to salute half in the bag Murphy, term limited out. The first official in memory that I can ever think of who actually kept it real, didn't just say this is what you should do, but actually did it too.
I would say the big watchword is, folks, use less water in all aspects of your life.
Well, we're going to discuss that up next, but he has been spotted in Red Bank along the Jersey Shore at his favorite gin mill. And instead of having what has always been his favorite, scotch on the rocks, a little water, no more ice cubes, no more water, he just drinks it straight like a man, knocks it back. So he gets a little buzzed a lot quicker because, hey, there's no ice cubes, there's no water. And you notice every time his eyes start rolling around in his head, his hair, I don't know, his hair like moves in a different direction. I don't know what it's something to do with the drinking. You can see him during the day when he's shaking because it's not the 5 o'clock happy hour yet. By 5 o'clock happy hour, oh my God, the guy doesn't shake. And his hair sort of like falls into place. Before that, it looks like he put his finger into a light socket. But anyway, are you prepared to sue New Jersey?
I mean, I'm for it. I think we have a case.
Most of the fires are in New Jersey.
And it's funny, I was looking at the radar, like the weather sites yesterday, it's almost like all the smoke made a direct beeline for New York City. It's like it could have gone anyway. It's like right exactly to us. It took a few minutes.
Well, look, your mother, who listens to this program, is in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania now, where there are more bear and deer and possums and raccoons than there are people.
That's true.
And she had to remind you that what you were smelling had nothing to do with the fire that had been in Van Cortlandt Park on Monday, or nothing to do with the Prospect Park fire. She was telling you it was coming from Jersey.
Yeah, no, I was having this really nice conversation with her, and it's a great day, great night. The weather's awesome. I'm like, I can even smell someone. They have like a fireplace going. Oh, this smells great. And she's like, no, that's the brush fire. I'm like, no. So now I'm going around closing windows. I'm like, you could have told me that like half an hour ago when we started talking as I'm inhaling all of this.
Jersey and you. Remember the governor, Tom Kane Sr., and the Jersey and you. He would never move his top lip, like the patrician he was. With Brooke Shields, remember? Jersey and you always together. Yeah, only the Brits don't move their top lip, right? Come on, Kane. And now his son got reelected, right? I'm Tom Kane Jr., that's right. God. Although he seems to move his top lip. Well, what is it about that? I'm Tom Kane Sr., New Jersey and you forever. And Brooke Shields is next to him, just nodding her head like, how the hell did I get roped into this? Anyway, up next, the drought. And why we're a bunch of knuckleheads in New York, and I can't blame this on Eric Adams, I can't blame this on Holcomb, I got to blame this on all of our elected officials. Can you believe that there is a 2.5 mile long bypass to the water we get from the Delaware aqueduct in which we lose, Nancy, New York City loses 35 million gallons of water per day. 35 million gallons of water each day. So the fact that you're going to be restricted to 2 flushes a day, AM flush, that's it. You got to let all the flotsam and jetsam build up for the AM. As soon as it goes to PM, then you're permitted to flush. Then you have to wait another 12 hours. So whoever uses the porcelain palace, then you can flush after 12 hours. But I wonder, Matt Blaze, you're a little off your game here. I should have had some flushes in the toilet. But then again, you're $1 short and a day late. He's a Jersey boy.
Oh, boy.
He probably claims that he's asphyxiated by all the smoke from Pompton Lakes, from Rockaway Township. Maybe you were riding through the cancer belt, right? Right on the New Jersey Turnpike as you were passing Newark Airport, right? You passed the Hess refinery. You passed all the petrochemical plants, right? And, the death trap of New Jersey.
WABC. Eden Memorial Chapels understands Jewish funerals can take many forms. Some are Orthodox, while others are more conservative or of a Reformed nature. There's no one better. With services close to all New York and New Jersey cemeteries, Eden Memorial Chapels offer fair and balanced pricing and can provide easy transfer of you and your loved ones to Israel. While you're grieving, they're here to take care of all the details so that you deal with less bureaucracy and have more peace of mind. Go to EdenMemorial.com. That's EdenMemorial.com.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. From the co-director of Shrek and the visionary behind Toy Story comes Spellbound, a magical new animated adventure starring Rachel Zegler, John Lithgow, Jennifer Lewis, Nathan Lane, and Titus Burgess with Javier Bardem and Nicole Kidman. When a powerful spell turns her parents into monsters, Princess Elian must journey into the wild to reverse the curse before it's too late. Watch Spellbound only on Netflix November 22nd.
Talk Radio 77 WABC.
Check this out.
No one knows New York better. The founder of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa.
And you can't compete against that.
On 77 WABC. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rain. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and the sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sound. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain.
Wait, we need the rain. We need the rain. But I must acknowledge that my wife Nancy was doing the deep dive. You don't want to miss it. Coming up, we got to bust the bubble of Elon Musk, who took $1 billion of our state dollars in the Buffalo billion. And you know what we got in return? We got bupkis. We'll deal with that coming up. But this is the song by America, Horse with No Name. As you hear the words, rain, desert, your favorite area in the whole world, Nancy, in the whole wide world, is the lowest elevated location in this globe. And by the way, now that it's dusk, we are the number one station globally, more powerful than the BBC 1, 2, 3, or 4. And by day, from coast to coast, now the most powerful radio station in the nation. But even we, with the 50,000 powerful watts of sound coming from our disquantificator on top of our tower of power in Lodi, cannot cause clouds to create desperately needed LaCroix fresh rain. We are in a severe drought situation, the likes of which only Nancy would be able to survive, because from time to time in her life, before I met her and knew her, she would oftentimes go to Death Valley in California, the lowest elevation in the country, where oftentimes it's 125-degree dry heat by 12 noon. The only thing you see is scorpions, sagebrush, and cacti, and a lot of rocks, and a lot of sand. And for some reason, I've yet to ever figure it out. When we have a hot spell here in New York, and remember, hot spells come in the summertime, so normally that's the time that the reservoirs would go low, because that's the peak summer use. That's when humans and plant consumption are at their highest, and the hot temperatures cause evaporation. That's not what's happening now. But when you've been there ain't no water, is there, Nancy?
Well, there was one spot that had water. It was called Darwin's Creek.
Oh, how can water exist there?
It was actually really cool. It was like this oasis in the middle of the desert. And, like I said, it was actually pretty mind-blowing. All of a sudden, there's hummingbirds and a waterfall and incredible amounts of foliage just hidden between rocks. It's pretty wild.
Are you sure you weren't with Aaron Rodgers doing some shrooms? What are you talking about? It's a desert.
There's one spot that has water.
Okay. I've only driven through from Los Angeles to Vegas, driven through. and you drive through fast because you don't want to break down in Death Valley. You do not. Next stop, Bartow, where all the Hells Angels hang out there. And I remember stopping there to use the facilities in the restroom. And there were 50 of these guys outside. And take your colors off. What do you mean take my colors off? There's only one set of angels here. It's Hell's Angels. Either take your colors off or die.
Wait, you're a guy and you're in California where there's just tons of nature. Why would you go into that place?
Well, Bartow, I had to use the facility. I wasn't going to go out there and irrigate the desert. You know, I'm still a human being. I still live in a civilized society. I did hesitate, though, after having barely escaped with my life. What the hell do I have to stop here and deal with these 50 gavons who wanted to take my colors off? Suffice to say, they didn't get my colors off. I cannot describe what transpired because I don't think there's a statute of limitation. What is a statute of limitation?
Limitations, yeah.
It's not a statue, right?
No.
Oh, it's a statute.
Statute.
Well, let's get back to Death Valley, which you love. You have found, like the Ponce de Leon Fountain of Youth, the one place there that there's water.
Yeah.
So you could survive because you know that there's very little water that you actually need to survive from day to day.
That's correct.
How much did you bring with you in order to sip a little bit each day so you wouldn't dehydrate?
I used the formula of a gallon a day. So, because a gallon's 8 pounds. And that's the heaviest thing you're going to be carrying, so a gallon a day.
Man, you can't do that here. The mayor has restricted you. You cannot drink a gallon of water from the faucet.
Yeah, but you use that for everything. That's the whole thing, right? You cook your food, so it's you need to have water. I mean, that's essential. I mean, I think when the mayor's saying it, he means more of like the needless things, like watering your lawn for 6 hours type of stuff.
Yeah, well, let's just face it. You're going to have rats that are going to be calling up the Department of Environmental Protection, and this is when they come out and write up tickets. Oh, they love this because they hit you with $1,000 fines, $2,000 fines. This is where they make their budget for the year. You know, they have every month over their head, they have a hanging the number of tickets that they have to write, a quota. Oh, this will clear it out for the whole year. Once they put restrictions in on using your hose for anything, you could be washing your car, you could be as you said, watering your lawn.
Well, and also you could get the tickets for not picking up your leaves because that's the other concern that people have too many leaves in front of their house or their business, and that's creating a fire hazard.
Oh, revenue raising opportunities. But the mayor has suggested, and I almost can't disagree with him on this. Normally, I'm at odds with him, but I'm more familiar with the aqueduct system that comes from the Delaware and comes from upstate in the Catskills. We've turned one of them off because, as I said, I don't think people realize on a regular basis, if we don't repair the pipes that bring the water down from upstate or bringing in from the Delaware area, imagine in a 2.5 mile long bypass, there is a leak in which we lose 35 million gallons of water per day. That is incomprehensible. That's just one leak of many leaks out there. You know, what are you doing when you hose in your car, right? You have a leak in the hose, you put bubble gum on it, you know, whatever you could do to try to survive until you can get to the service station, or you put duct tape, right? Duct tape around the hose. I don't think you can duct tape these pipes. You know, duct tape is the miracle invention. Duct tape solves so many problems, and it's affordable. But I don't think you can duct tape these pipes. So not only do we have a drought in the New York area, and we're dependent on the Catskills, and we're dependent on the Delaware Water Basin, but we've had to turn off the Delaware Water Basin because we have to fix this 2.5 mile long bypass, which is going to take us till the summer. And I understand why we have to do it. We're losing 35 million gallons of water per day just from there. And then we have the Croton watershed, which is that upstate water supply. So these are the restrictions. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're all upset. by tomorrow, November 12th, you have to buy those special garbage cans outside of your house. So people in New York City are already pissed about that. $55 trash can. You can only buy through the city of New York. Nancy, you're going to have to do a deep dive on that. There's definitely a kickback scam going on that.
Oh, there's going to be such a resale value for those.
And not only that,
stolen left and right.
That's right. They're going to be stolen all over the place. That's the biggest problem I hear whenever I go to a community meeting in the Five Boroughs. Why do we have to buy special garbage cans from the city? Why can't we do it at Home Depot or the local hardware store or any other place? No, you can only buy it for us. What is it, like $55, right? And you know it's a hell of a lot cheaper than that. So somebody's getting a kickback. You got to do a deep dive on that. Supposedly, it goes into effect tomorrow, November 12th. Not tomorrow. What? No. Yeah, tomorrow. Because tomorrow is Veterans Day. I'll give you the update on where we're going to be there at 30th and 5th for the parade. Get a pad and pen. You're going to want to come out and meet us and greet us. First time we've ever done a live broadcast from the Veterans Day parade. But the following day, Tuesday, is the 12th. That's when this regulation kicks in. And you better start getting these city sold to you garbage cans. Never before have you had to buy something from the city. And you know this is Eric Adams, so he's going to have his beak in the trough here, him and his cronies. We'll get to that later on. So these are the rules and regulations. I got to keep repeating them as a public service announcement. I know for some of you, this is rigorous. But I've been told by management here at WABC, we're good citizens of the city, of the state, of the region. We want to save water. So I have to give you the means of doing it. Number one, the mayor announced last week that for everyone that has a toilet that functions with water, because there are some...
What would not function with water?
Oh, no, there are they call them waterless toilets. It's biodegradable. There's no water involved.
What?
Yes. No.
All right. I'll go with that.
No. Don't check it out. There's this famous guy in Hollywood. I was first introduced to this because, I'm an environmentalist extraordinaire. Yeah. He lives in this nice mansion. He rides around a bicycle. He will not ride in a fossil fuel car or a Tesla electric car. And his bathroom has no water, his toilet. So when you go to use this toilet, there's no water. That's the future. It seeps into the environment. You check him out. He's a very famous actor here. But in the meantime, let me explain to you. You will be entitled in New York City to just 2 flushes a day, wherever you are. And the Department of Environmental Protection, if they find out and they know by your water usage, you've seen your water bills skyrocket, they'll know that you're cheating and they're going to write you up. Now, remember, in the AM, from 12 a.m., midnight, to the Rip and Read at 12 noon, everyone who's in your house, whatever they do goes into the toilet. And then at 12 noon, you get the 1 flush. 1 flush. That's your 1 flush. Then for the next 12 hours, whoever is in your house, they use that toilet. It accumulates inside. Don't worry about it. It's only 12 hours. You're not going to get botulism, Ebola, flesh-eating virus, salmonella, E. coli, none of that. No, it's only 1 12-hour period. And then you flush again. Very, very important. And I kid you not, these are going to be, it's draconian. We don't have the water. And it's going to be dry throughout November and December. And if we don't get any snow, because that's where we get most of our water from. And remember, it's not here. The snow's got to be up in the Catskills. The snow's got to be in the Delaware Basin. It's got to melt there and go into the aqueducts. In fact, one of our aqueducts is already down at 35%. 35%. Hey, that ain't good. When you go and look at the aqueduct and you see cars that were stolen and stripped and pushed into the aqueduct like 30 years ago, it ain't good. I can say, oh, that's a 69 Impala. You can tell that. It ain't good. So that's number one. We all have to do it, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, because Mother Nature ain't helping us here. The forecasters say you're not going to really get any sizable precipitation except after January 1st. Okay. Number 2, you are permitted. Now, the mayor has announced 1 shower a week. We're going the French way, the Parisian way. But when you go into your vestibule to take your shower, you can only do so in the following manner. Every person who is living with you must be in that shower stall, and the dog, if you have dogs, must be in there, because you know how dogs stink up the... within a week, a dog needs a bath, right? Or a shower.
I think so.
Unlike the cats that we have who are self-cleaning. Dogs are not. They cannot reach back to their culo and clean themselves. They depend on other dogs sniffing their backside and cleaning them, and I don't want to get into that. So 1 shower a week. Now, any of you who have been in France, like I've been in France in the Paris Metro, I love the Paris Metro rubber wheels. Their subway is magnifique, except for the fact when the doors close, you can't have the air conditioning because that just spreads the Parisian stink. These people do not believe in bathing. The 2 big complaints in the Summer Olympics with all the tourists coming in and the athletes. And the Metro is magnificent. Unlike our subway, it's not a mugger, a mover. You know, they aren't homeless, emotionally disturbed. Is that when you would get on the trains, and even though it had good air conditioning and the rubber wheels, that once the doors close, the Parisians bathe once a week. And some of them put perfume on when they haven't bathed, which just makes it so much worse. I call that toilet water. And you asphyxiate. We got to get ready for this. Now, we are prepared as New Yorkers because how many times have you gotten into subways of late and there's a homeless person there? And let's face it, he hasn't bathed in a month of Sundays, and somehow you survive the process. You survive. Well, what are you going to do? Move to the next car? There's probably a homeless guy there also hasn't bathed. We have already built up an immunity. So for the good of all of us, Nancy, we must make this sacrifice. And I know for some people like David Dinkins, the former mayor, he used to brag he took 3 showers a day. He had his man Friday, Arnie Segura, carry his suits around. This is before Eric Adams, who filled up his SUV there, and it looks like a dry cleaner with his 50 customized suits. But David Dinkins was proud. He took a shower in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening.
That is something to be proud of.
About the only thing that he did as mayor. And Arnie Segura was his man Friday, always there carrying his coat bag. David Dinkins will not know what to do. 1 shower a week. Now, come on, Nancy. Mm-hmm. You and I, we can take the 1 shower a week. We don't have to worry about cats getting in there. They don't need to shower.
I'm not okay with 1 shower a week.
Nancy, we're in a drought situation. This is us and we, not I and me. We got to give up our selfishness. Our mayor is trying to do his best. He inherited this problem. I can't say he brought this on us. Brad Lander wants to blame everything on Trump.
That's like very biblical. He inherited a drought?
Yes, he did. He did. Look.
You might be feeding the beast here.
Look, he had to close this 2.5-mile-long bypass tunnel from the Delaware water system where we get half of our water because it's leaking 35 million gallons of water per day. It's been doing that for years.
Can they just buy like a lot of bottled water and just dump it in?
Well, you can. And that leads us to the other problem. The migrants are using most of the bottled water in New York City.
See, that's the problem right there.
200,000 of them, they get bottled water every day.
And something tells me they flush the toilet more than once a day.
Well, because they come from countries where this is like the seventh marvel of the world, to actually flush a toilet and to see it go round and round and round. They don't have toilets in their country.
They probably have like the shower running all day, like a steam room and stuff.
Of course. This is a miracle.
Taking baths.
They come from the favelas up in the mountains of Caracas.
Oh, and actually, I have seen laundry hanging out the window, so you know that they were hand washing things plenty there.
Yeah, look, it's still third world means. I don't want to knock them. I mean, if I had suddenly discovered a toilet, it's like when I went to Japan. They not only have toilets that are modern day, but they actually, while you're sitting on the porcelain palace, they wipe you, and then a gust of air comes, and you get a little titillated if your sexuality has not been determined.
Where do you go?
Yeah, the Japanese seats. Oh, my God. It used to be they just had a hole in the ground when you went to Japan originally. So what the hell am I supposed to do?
Things have changed.
That's right. You just got to squat and thrust. Now you sit on their porcelain palace. Oh, it does everything.
A manicure, pedicure.
Everything. And then when you're finished, it blows on you. You get a little excited. You're like, can I come back and sit on this again, this turlet?
They're like, sir, please leave.
Yes. There's a line to the turlet. And they still have, for some of the old Japanese, they have the hole in the floor. That's it. It's a simple hole. And you say, my God, how primitive. And then they have, for everybody else, the best turlets that have ever been built. They do everything for you. All you got to do is just sit back and enjoy. But you can't do that anymore because that requires water. No more bidets. Wow. No bidets. Sorry. Because let's face it, when you finish in a bidet, what do you have to do? You got to spritz it, right? You can't just, unless you just leave the bidet. And well, that's the French way. So we really have to get serious about this, Nancy. There are many things that with no more ice cubes. No. Got it? No. We need to preserve every drop of, I guess what you can call anything that goes up will not come down now because of the drought. Normally, the precipitation, right, goes up and it goes into the clouds, and then they eventually comes down at rain. No, the absorption level is just taking it up and it ain't coming down. Sir Isaac Newton's philosophy, whatever goes up must come down. Nope. No, so we're in dire straits here. Now, I realize right away, here's Mad Place. Oh, I know songs from Dire Straits. No. Stop. You're all laughing. This is serious stuff. I want to assist our mayor. First of all, he's fighting fires by telling us that we are not to do any kind of barbecues.
No more doing barbecues.
That's very important. Although I must be honest with you, I haven't really seen people barbecuing out there. I mean, probably.
He also said no fireworks.
Yeah, no fireworks. But then again, I don't think those are fireworks. Those are gunshots.
Oops.
And he doesn't want to acknowledge
That's what he meant.
that they're gunshots because naturally it's a perception of crime. It's not reality. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry I had to be the bad news bearer and give you information, but soon, half in the bag, Murphy in New Jersey is going to have to tell you the same thing because he led and we're following him.
I would say the big watchword is, folks, use less water in all aspects of your life.
My God, now that you drink your scotch straight and you shake until happy hour, and then, man, the rest of the night is good because you don't have scotch on the rocks anymore. You don't have it watered down. You drink it like a man's man straight. I have to give high five to Eric Adams and to Half in the Bag Murphy. They lead. And we must follow. We must survive the way you did in Death Valley the many times you've gone there. Nancy, you are a survivalist extraordinaire. You love the desert. There are people who have survived in deserts, nomads, as they move from place to place. The Bedouins, right? Look, the Saudis, the House of Fraud, eventually... they go out there into the sands of Mecca and Medina. They set up their tents. Ain't no damn water out there. What do you think? They bring in bottled water? No, they do it the Bedouin way. We got to get used to that. Boy, it's going to be tough. But when times get tough, Americans get tougher.
No more doing barbecues.
WABC. What's up, guys? It's the champ, Sean O'Malley, here to talk to you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money while watching football. Run your game on Prize Picks.
Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code SPOTIFY. That's code SPOTIFY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Lowe's knows you want to get even more value for the holiday. That's why as a My Lowe's Rewards member, you get new member deals on holiday decor, tools, and more. And you earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards to help you save on holiday and more. Not a member? Join for free today at Lowe's.com/MyLowe'sRewards. Because Lowe's knows deals. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
Talk Radio 77 WABC. New York's talk station with the king of New York. Curtis Sliwa, 77 WABC. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
I'm feeling Rick James. I'm feeling Orchard Park, Buffalo. East Buffalo, the projects.
When I came home last night, you wouldn't make love to me. You went fast asleep.
Who's more synonymous with Buffalo
You wouldn't even talk
than
to
Rick
me.
James was, right?
You say I'm so crazy.
Absolutely. And from the bedroom that he grew up in the projects in East Buffalo, you could look out. And Nancy, in 2012, at the State of the State address in Albany, Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo, King Cuomo II, the son of Mario Faccia Bruta Cuomo, King Cuomo I. He's listening as we speak on our FM affiliate, WLIR, that goes right to Southampton, where he is bedded down in his brother's fortress, Fredo, Chris Cuomo, with his wartime consigliere, Joe Percoco. They've hit the mattresses. They're stirring the marinara sauce, plotting his return as almost like a zombie, a political zombie. But in 2020, he promised that he would save Buffalo for all time with our money. $1 billion, our money. And he was setting up a solar city solar panel factory that would provide, he said, eventually all the solar powered panels that we needed in North America. By 2023, the whole project went bankrupt. And who got most of the money and the freebies from the state taxpayers? Us, the suckers. A man named Elon Musk. Oh, he can do no wrong now. Elon Musk, according to Donald Trump, is like God. He can walk on water. He can fly rocket ships to the moon and back and land on the head of a pin. But Nancy, you know me. I don't forgive. I don't forget. I want $1 billion back. $1 billion he got. How the hell did Cuomo give him $1 billion? And how the hell did they all declare bankruptcy? And how the hell did some of the Cuomo sexuals end up going to jail for this?
Yeah, this is interesting. So Cuomo, when he initially announced this plan, it was supposed to revitalize Buffalo as a manufacturing hub. So, theoretically, a lot of different companies would have been in the mix. But it just turned out that the entire budget seemed to go for this one emphasis, which is like the Solar City, which, as you mentioned, was a company that was owned by two of Elon Musk's cousins, and then he wound up purchasing it. I mean, it sounded like basically more or less it's Elon Musk.
Stop. So Elon Musk's cousins, now he's a South African, so I don't think they were still in South Africa. So his cousins own this solar city. He purchases from them, and then he gets the close to $1 billion.
Yeah, and then the majority of the money is supposed to go toward building this, like Uber manufacturing center thing for, these solar panels. Now, initially, it was supposed to be $240 million, but by the time that now, this is where the really kind of crazy stuff comes in. So you have the people who are trying to, do all the bidding. So now this plan is coming into fruition. But now that they're going to develop this whole building and create it, they need the the developers, the different real estate moguls. So the person who winds up getting the contract, LP Simonelli, that's the developer who actually won the bid, which apparently, even though it was an open bidding process, this was the only company that even qualified.
Well, interesting. 3 weeks before the bid was accepted, he made a $96,000 contribution to the election fund of Andrew Evilized Cuomo. See, you can do that at the state level, make that kind of. It's not a bad turnaround. I get $96,000 and I give you the contract. Isn't that what we call a kickback?
Yeah, I mean, and same thing with this company, the developers, LP Simonelli. They had given $150,000 to Cuomo's variety of campaigns. It says him and his associates, whatever that's supposed to mean.
Well, his cronies.
Yeah, and then right after that, and hosting a big fundraiser, he wins the development contract. So initially, what was supposed to be $225 million going to build this Solar City new manufacturing plant was upped to $750 million because Cuomo just got so giddy with all the fundraising that he was doing. And then all of a sudden, a couple years after that, because they were tanking so badly and not producing anything, and they said, we need more money.
Not one solar panel. Not one solar panel, Elon Musk.
Yeah, they were about to give him another $500 million bonus. And then this was just stopped because there was just so much blatant corruption. So they had to hold off on that stuff.
Where was Elon Musk's investment in this? You mean, we gave him $350 million to build the factory. Mm-hmm. And Cuomo did, of our money. We gave him $275 million of state funds for equipment. He didn't invest a penny. $125 million in additional costs. I'd like to know what all the additional costs were, Elon Musk. And then, in order to achieve this, he had to promise he would employ 1,500 Buffalo residents. Not. And that he would spend in New York State $5 billion in the next decade. Guess what? He spent ugats. So it seems to me, since our media is always asleep, and the team of Sliwa and Sliwa got to do the deep dive, that while Elon Musk is the darling of all the Republicans, he can do no wrong. My God. I want to know, where's our $1 billion? Hey, Elon, you got like $300 billion, right? $1 billion of that is ours. I think we're entitled to it back. We're entitled to a rebate.
Yeah, so again, right, like what you were saying, it was supposed to create anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 jobs after this manufacturing plant was built. Also to attract other businesses to come into the area, right? Because it's almost like the anchor store in a mall type thing. And that it would have the capacity to create 1,000 solar panel roofs per week. So then it's like a decade later, you have 1,700 jobs, well, far short of what they were saying, and most of them not even in the industry, in that business. One coffee shop came to town.
One coffee shop. Was it Starbucks?
No, just a regular coffee shop. And instead of the 1,000 roofs capacity a week, it has the ability to do 21 roofs a week.
Whoa.
Yeah, not very good.
We give this guy $1 billion.
Yeah.
And all his Tesla factory can produce in 1 week is how many roofs of solar panels?
21.
21.
Yeah, and what's crazy is it's even more than the $1 billion because there's no property tax for the first 10 years. So that property tax saving, $260 million. I mean, what's interesting is this is, in many ways, this is reminds me of how they're doing, pushing forward the energy, like the windmill energy type stuff. Because what happens is they had a contract. The job, it was supposed to do certain deliverables. They didn't actually hold Elon Musk to it because there's actually a provision where if they're not going according to these standards of production they're supposed to do, is a $41 million a year penalty. Like, we could use that because we've given so many tax breaks already.
Wait. So we actually built and equipped this plant for him. He didn't spend a dime. A private company. We built the plant. We equipped the plant for him. This is like corporate welfare on steroids. Mm-hmm. This is a boondoggle, this Buffalo billion. And it can't be reformed. It needs to be outlawed. Yeah. Hey, Elon Musk, I want $1 billion back. And by the way, who went to jail for this? Joe Percoco, the wartime consigliere of Andrew Evil Eyes Cuomo, and 4 Cuomo-sexuals for rigging bids for state contracts who had contributed very handsomely to his re-election effort as governor. Hey, Cuomo, come out and play. Where's the $1 billion that you gave Elon Musk? Was any of that kickback, Cuomo?
Check this out. No one knows New York better. The founder of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa.
And you can't compete against that.
On 77 WABC. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
Honey, you are my candy girl. You got me wanting you. Oh, honey, sugar, sugar, you are my candy girl. You got me wanting.
Classic Wilson Pickett.
I just can't believe the wonders of this feeling too.
Trying to be Cousin Boosie here, right? Greatest DJ of all time. No, actually, this is Eric Adams, Swagger Man with No Plan song to his boo. Now, Nancy, let us take you back because he's been told by Team Trump that if he's going to get a commutation, if he's going to get a pardon, or even for the incoming president, Donald Trump, as of January 20th, when he's sworn in, to muscle the Department of Justice through the Southern District and the East District to either water down their charges for corruption against him or maybe even put him on the shelf. I don't think they can. But, you know, Trump may do it for a friend, because he claims we're both victims of the overreach of the Department of Justice. Bullschnizzle. But there was a situation that evolved the first time that Eric Adams was running for mayor as Brooklyn Borough president, when his competitor, Andrew Yang, who was ahead in the polls, announced that you have to disqualify his candidacy because his residency is not on Lafayette Avenue in Brooklyn, as is reported on his registration with the Board of Elections. Those are the rules. You got to be living where you claim you live. And Andrew Yang broke the story that he actually lives, and still does, and I'm not going to give the full address, but apartment 22H in Fort Lee. He shares a condo with his boo, not his wife, his boo. He calls her his boo. And what is her name again, Nancy?
Tracy Collins.
Tracy Collins. We've seen her maybe 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
One when he was sworn into office. Remember when the ball dropped one Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've suffered ever since. And you deserve to because you didn't elect me. And then remember at the Met when he was wearing that outrageous jacket that had like guns in the air, like he just didn't care, like it was dance hall reggae. Universally panned as a fashionista statement, and we haven't seen her since. To Andrew Yang's credit, Politico actually went and stalked him and saw him going in and out of the building in Fort Lee on a regular basis, meaning that maybe he laid his head to rest in some other locations in the city, but his primary residence was Fort Lee, which should have disqualified him. But his complexion was his protection. He immediately said that Andrew Yang, by the way, a Chinese guy, is racist. And the media backed off. In fact, the next day when the walls were closing in, because so many people were saying, he owns that condo in apartment 22H, and he lives there with his boo. What's her name again?
Tracy Collins.
Tracy Collins. He held a press conference on Lafayette Avenue in the basement of the building that he owns there that is rat infested. He's been ticketed now 5 times for rat infestation. And as you know, I've been there, and it is rat infested. But he invited the press in, and they were walking around in the basement apartment, and the press said, Eric, this looks like an apartment of like a 25-year-old. Your son has his name on everything. His name is Jordan. You know, he had the Nikes, he had the pictures, he had the photographs of his girlfriends. He said, there's nothing here with you in it. Eric, no, this is my apartment. I let my son keep his personal items here because, as you know, as a young man, he's a little frisky, like father, like son.
Frisky.
And the media all ate it up. They forgave him. Andrew Yang disappeared. He lost in the Democratic primary. And then it was my turn in the general election. And remember, I marched over the George Washington Bridge. I marched up to the apartment 22H. The media was in tow. They said, this is a clown show. You're lying. You're making this up. I said, no. He lives there. And not only that, his boo has a no-show job. Remember when I said that?
You did say that.
No-show job. You could be sued for defamation. I said, go ahead, sue me. She never goes to the Department of Education, DOE, dumbest organization ever, with a third of the city budget, $36 billion. And she had a no-show job. Nobody ever saw this woman. In fact, people were shown pictures of her at the Department of Education, which is Tammany Hall, right behind City Hall. The perfect place to have it. The house of corruption, the old Tammany Hall. We've never seen her. Never saw her. Security, nope. Maintenance, nope. Never saw her. Who is she? Well, it's the boo of the mayor. Oh, yeah, I saw her here the other day. Please, I don't want to go on record. Please, I really did see her. It's just, I got a little confused. So they all covered up for the mayor. She's now making $275,000 a year. That's more than the mayor makes. And on Friday, as Eric Adams has been told by Team Trump, we can't help you until you clean up your crime scene. You got to whack her. She's got to leave. And if she won't leave, you got to fire her. So I guess that was quite a conversation in apartment 22H in Fort Lee. By the way, his other girlfriend that he lived with for a period of time in Brooklyn, remember, he wasn't married. He could do that. A weightlifting woman, I reported that she lives right downstairs in apartment 21H. Boy, is that freaky.
That's freaky.
And she came over from Brooklyn, too. And that used to be his boo before he met, what was her name again?
Tracy Collins.
It's hard for me to keep track of all these women. And she has the condo right underneath Tracy and Eric Adams in Fort Lee. I said that then. You're lying. You're making it up. The Daily Mail a month ago. He's right. Curtis is right. There she is coming in and out of that apartment. She owns the apartment. And yes, Eric Adams had encouraged her to come over and buy the condo.
That's weird.
No, they should have just listened to me. But then again, he lies. He makes things up. He's wrong. John, fire him. Fire him. No. If he's wrong, he's gone. That's our agreement. So now it turns out that in order to clean up the crime scene of a no-show kickback job, he had to convince Tracy that it was time to go. Look, you have benefits, you have pension, you have all this. For all those years, you never showed up for a job. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, and this is funny because so she has worked for the Department of Education, but it was a short time after he became mayor that she wound up getting her promotion from Banks. So July 2022.
Wait, this is a guy who resigned because of corruption.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, not Phil Banks. Oh, that's his brother, Phil Banks. And then there's Terrence Banks, the Banks crime family. Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, so then she gets that job where she's like an assistant, a very high up position that they just created. So she's making $180,000 now. So that's like her first boost.
No, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
So she starts out at $180,000 a year?
Correct. Yeah, that's in July 2022.
What was this based on?
Nothing that you can really tell. And actually, like I said, they actually made this whole position up because it's like they made the special person who was overseeing something in the school, and then she just became the assistant to that person. So, like, it's just a whole bunch of fake jobs.
Did this other person need an assistant? It would seem to me with the Department of Education, dumbest organization ever, housed in Tammany Hall. Isn't that perfect? Spending $36 billion, that's 1/3 of our budget, that they've got too many people at the top that they really need to cut into that. Maybe Elon Musk, he wants to cut, $2 trillion from the federal budget. Maybe we should ask him, would you cut the freaking budget of the Department of Education, dumbest organization ever, top heavy with no show job people?
Yeah, and then less than a year after that, so July 2023, she gets a 23% boost. So now she's at 221.
For what?
I don't know, but she did a great job.
For being the boo of the mayor.
There you go. So then she's at 221. Now, starting in November of last year, this is where people just completely stopped seeing her. At first, she was just like, you could barely find her. Occasionally she was in. So now the reports are since November 2023, like no one's seen her at all. Like not one day.
We're in November now.
No, November 2023 last year. So
but that's what I'm saying. So for a full year, as I have said on this show, nobody in Tammany Hall, the old Tammany Hall behind City Hall, which is where the Department of Education operates out of, dumbest organization ever, has seen her come in or out of that building.
Yeah, and apparently she's done such a good job that even in between then, they had boosted her salary again. So she ended at $252 when she retired.
On Friday.
Yeah, exactly. So now, again, like that's really helpful, too.
Was that a forcible retirement? Did they have an argument first? Like, I've had to put up with a lot of you catting and tomming around, you chasing that woman, that Indian woman in the red dress on, she's always at your side. She's always like smiling. I've been seeing you, Eric, in all these photos all over the place till the break of dawn on Instagram with one babe after another babe. I kept my mouth shut because I'm going to get paid. And now you're telling me I got to fire myself?
Well, I mean, she's better off just leaving before she gets investigated.
And indicted.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, I'm glad you said that because this quick retirement of hers came about the day before the Department of Investigation announced an investigation of her no-show job.
Ooh, that worked out well for her.
So you understand, Team Trump that wants to sanctify him, wants to clean him up, make him right, is saying, Eric, you're not even going to be considered for a pardon or a commutation unless you clean up your crime scenes. Does Team Trump have an idea of how many cesspools he's got to clean up? Does he? So, okay. So his boo retires, but there is now an ongoing investigation, and it ain't going to be difficult. Just like me going down there and asking Julio, the maintenance guy, do you ever see this woman before? No. Asking the security officer, said, do you ever see this? No. And then all of a sudden, a person saying, no. And then I explain who they are. No, please don't use my name. I need this job, Curtis. Come on, man. I said, it's okay. I'll call you Mr. Anonymous. Nobody has seen her for a year. With benefits, she tops out at $275,000. And that's just one of many. Now, Banks, who you mentioned, provided this cover for her because he had been appointed by the mayor out of the infamous Banks family. So we have Phil Banks, who was appointed the deputy mayor of public safety, even though he was an unindicted co-conspirator before during police corruption and should have gone to jail, but he ratted out cops, and that's what kept him out of jail. So he got elevated into that position. He resigned. His brother Terrence, who had worked for the MTA money-taking agency, he declared himself to be a lobbyist, even though he never registered. And apparently he was setting up meetings for his brother Phil at the Verizon building right next to One Police Plaza, where it's hush, hush, mush, mush meetings where they carry the loot inside. They actually carry cash to these guys. And who was the guy who was the head of the chancellor of the Department of Education who had to leave? First he was going to leave the first of the year. Then he sped that up. Then they finally told him, no, pack your bags and get the hell out of here because we have to clean up this crime scene because you've been having meetings here at the Department of Education, dumbest organization ever, arranged by your brother Terrence, who was not a lobbyist, in which you agreed to contracts in which there were kickbacks.
Yeah, David Banks.
David Banks, that's right. The 3 bank crooks. We call it the Banks Organized Crime Family. And who was the deputy mayor who was crying? Don't come near me. Look, just because I'm friends with David Banks, it doesn't mean I'm a crook, too.
Is this Sheena Wright?
Yeah, it's Sheena Wright. All of them. So you have to understand, orders from headquarters were, hey, I'm your friend now, Trump's and the Trump. We talk on a regular basis, you know. We're going to save you. We're going to say nice things about you. We're going to do what we can for you, Eric, but you got to clean up these crime scenes. So it started with his boo, whacked. Then, in order to replace David Banks, they chose a Latino woman, all DEI, all DEI all the time, who now makes even more money than the mayor himself. No credentials whatsoever, but she is a Latina. So, hey, we had a black guy, so we ain't going to put no cracker in there. No vanilla. Sorry. Do we know what the name of this woman is, who the new chancellor of the Department of Education is? With all so top heavy, everybody making like $225, $250. Teachers can't even get supplies for the children in the classes of the elementary school, junior high schools, high schools. They got to go into their own pockets.
Yeah, I think so. Melissa, let's see, Avies Ramos.
Avies, say it the right way. Avies.
Ramos. Yeah.
Remember,
she's a daughter of the Bronx.
Of course. And she's a DEI candidate.
That's what she says.
She's done nothing in her life. She's a person of no consequence. And now she makes more money than the mayor because he needed somebody to save him. We got to find the Latina. How about this one? No, she's a white Jew. She's qualified. No, sorry, she's a cracker and she's vanilla. And they had to clean up that crime scene. Wait. Coming up, the biggest crime scene yet that has to be cleaned up. This is like when you got to reach out to an environmental protection corporation when you have a browning field or toxic waste and you have to send in the crews with hazmat suits. The corruption here is so thick. You need dynamite to blast away. Remember the debit cards that he issued to the illegal aliens that drove all of you crazy out there? And Nancy Cole busted him on that months ago. And City Hall said Nancy was lying. Nancy doesn't know what she's talking about. Nancy is just a sycophant, toady, and lackey of her husband. You know, they just hate Adams. Well, that's true. We do because he's destroyed this city. He's like de Blasio 2.0. But I know that Team Trump looked at this debit card and said, yo, you better clean this up. This is a crime scene. You know, this is what organized crime does. Somebody goes in and whacks the guy, right? And there's blood all over the place. And then they send in the cleanup team because we can't, you got DNA and blood all over. We got to scrub this place up. Well, on Friday, after he let his boo go, what was her name again? Boo?
Tracy Collins.
He ended the debit card fraud once and for all.
The debacle.
Nancy will relate to you what she related to you months ago, and some of you actually said, you're lying, Nancy. You're making this up. You're just trying to make the mayor look bad. All he's trying to do is save us money. He's just trying to save us money. We got to feed these illegal aliens. And you know how much it costs to actually give them culturally appropriate food? They won't eat the bagel with the schmear on it. You know, every time you Grubhub, you know how much money that is? No, now we're going to give them the illegal alien debit card, and it's going to save us money. And everybody said, how the hell is it going to save us money? $400 a week. And then Nancy exposed the corruption. And you were called a liar, remember?
I do recall this.
Yeah. Do we get apologies?
No, I haven't heard one.
How is there a line that we can go to restore our honor and just get a simple apology like, yeah, we made that all up. We called you a liar, Nancy, because you outed us. You cold busted us.
I'll just take a cupcake or something.
Cupcake, yeah, that's it. That's all we want. Really. You don't even have to put the apology in writing. Just a cupcake. Just an acknowledgement that you stole money. That's it. Then you can go to jail. Oh, I hope.
WABC. Talk Radio 77 WABC. New York's talk station with the king of New York. Curtis Sliwa, 77 WABC. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
Show me the money. Show me the money. That's what it's all about.
Some people got to have it. Some people really need it. Listen to me, y'all. Do things, bad things with it. Well, you wanna do things, good things with it.
Give me, show me the money. Show me the money. That's what it's all about.
People will steal from their mother. People will rob their own brother. People can't even walk the streets because they'll never know in the world they're gonna meet. For that
Give me, show me the money. Show me the money. That's what it's all about.
Oh, yeah, that is the life of Eric Adams ever since he was sworn into office as a state senator. From the Crown Heights and Bedford-Stuyvesant section, as he was being sworn in front of his crooked colleagues, and the lobbyists were there salivating, saying, oh, my God, he's telling us that he will be the biggest guy yet to put his beak in the trough. He's telling us to wine him, dine him, and pocket line him.
Give me, show me the money. Show me the money. That's what it's all about.
Like right out of the Tom Cruise movie, right? I mean, look, the guy has been telling you all along, ladies and gentlemen. All you got to do is listen to him. Listen to him. But no. He just says that. I don't know. $5,000 customized suits, right? They ain't off the rack. The ostentatious lifestyle that he cannot afford. But okay. You all said, look, he's the new face of the Democratic Party. A moderate Democrat, former police officer. Wait, he was a house mouse. He never busted his shoe. It doesn't matter. It's his turn. And in fact, in a few years, Nancy, there were dreams that he would be entering 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and become the third black president in the United States. What are you looking at me, Matt Blaze? There was Bill Clinton first, then Barack Obama, and then it was supposed to be Eric Adams. And he was on his way. He was the Biden of Brooklyn. Let me tell you, I love Joe Biden. We're like best of friends. I'm the Biden of Brooklyn. He was loving that man for like 2 years. But then in February of this past year, remember, Nancy, we were celebrating the 45th anniversary of the Guardian Angels. And the very next day, the news headlines were that in order to streamline the outrageous amounts of money that we, the sucker taxpayers in New York City, were forking over every day to feed illegal aliens, remember what the conditions were. They would stay at the Milford Plaza Hotel, first hotel that they occupied at $400 a night. And they were provided food every day by a catering firm, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And remember, the Venezuelans who first came in August of 2022, they objected. They said, this is not culturally appropriate. What are we going to do with the bagel and the schmear? We don't have that in Caracas. So instead of saying you either eat the bagel and the schmear, you starve, or you go back to Caracas, no, Eric Adams said we want to be culturally appropriate, and he allowed them to Grubhub their breakfast. And the cost just skyrocketed. Lunch, dinner, it was an outrage. So then he announced that he was going to do us all a favor, and he was going to provide them a debit card, a snap card, a swipe card. These were his words in February of this past year, 9 months ago.
We have to recycle this money back into our local economy because we're spending this money anyway. So how do we put it back into our local economy? They hire locally and they stay in the community. So these cards are going to go to bodegas, grocery stores, supermarkets. Local businesses are going to benefit. Second, how do we save money? It made no sense delivering the food, and then some of the food that we were delivering people didn't want. So here's your debit card with a dollar amount that is lower dollar amount, smarter way to do it. It's going to save $600,000 a month and $7.2 million a year. Avoid food waste, and is focused on baby supplies and food.
Yeah. So because they weren't eating some of the food, like I said, if I were the man, starve or go back to where you're from. Well, we got to give them a snap card, a swipe card, a debit card. It didn't sound right. And Nancy went right to work to chop it up. But before we get to Nancy's analysis, exactly what she said in February, the day after he made this announcement, when she was called a liar, a fraud, a sycophant of her husband, a hater who should have become Eric Adams' waiter, like all his haters. I want you to hear the man. Now, you know someone's lying when they start stuttering and, I mean, look, that if you had this guy hooked up to a polygraph machine when he made this statement, no, I know you're a holy roller, Jonah, and you teach Bible school on Valentine Avenue, and you may not want to listen to this, but he'd have been blown at Kingdom Come. He was lying then. Listen to him. He had a little, he was the Biden in the Brooklyn. Blah, 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 blah.
We have to recycle this money back into our local economy because we're spending this money anyway. So how do we put it back into our local economy? They hire locally and they stay in the community. So these cards are going to go to bodegas, grocery stores, supermarkets. Local businesses are going to benefit. Second, how do we save money? It made no sense delivering the food, and then some of the food that we were delivering people didn't want. So here's your debit card with a dollar amount that is lower dollar amount, smarter way to do it. It's going to save $600,000 a month and $7.2 million a year. Avoid food waste, and is focused on baby supplies and food.
Okay. On Friday, after he told his boo, you better resign or I gotta fire you, Team Trump wants me to clean up the crime scene. The biggest crime of all was this debit card. Now, Nancy, you have not received an apology because he canceled the debit card program on Friday. sort of like he's got to clean up all these crime scenes. Did City Hall call you up and apologize for all the names they were calling you to reporters, Nancy?
No, so I'm still being called names by them. But this is interesting, right? So initially, when this contract was signed, it was up to $53 million for this contract. It didn't have a specific time period. It had this 1-year pilot program. So far, supposedly, there's been $3.5 million of that spent, and over $1 million has gone to fees to this company. So figure a third of it has gone to fees to Mocafy. This is the New Jersey-based company.
Well, I'm sure that's a Fortune 500 company. They issue debit cards. Like, why didn't he go to a New York company? Wall Street is filled with companies that issue debit cards, all kinds of credit cards and such. This is a Newark, New Jersey company. Oh, warning signs, Newark, New Jersey. You're the mayor of New York City. He said, the reason we're giving this card out is to help local businesses. But the person who's going to provide the card, a.k.a. the hustler, is from Newark, is not from New York City.
Yeah, and it's not really clear because, again, these are one of these no-bid contracts that was made during this emergency element.
Well, no-bid contract.
Yeah.
You know how many firms down on Wall Street provide these kinds of charge cards, debit cards? They would have put in a low bid in order to do this.
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward what they're doing, and actually, it's really funny too because you can tell that this guy who created the company, this Newark-based company, he was inspired. This is a former managing director at J.P. Morgan Chase. His name's Wool Coxum. He was inspired to create this company during the death of Michael Brown in Ferguson because he wanted to serve the underbanked and narrow the racial wealth gap. So this guy's fully, you know what?
Wait a second. Hold on a second.
Serving the underbanked.
He leaves Chase Manhattan Bank in Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
And because of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, he is so traumatized as a black man that
inspired, really,
that I can't be making money at Chase Morgan no more. Maybe he got fired. I don't know. We need to do a deep dive on that. But we'll take him for his word. He left of his own choice because now he was on a mission.
Yeah.
As he saw Michael Brown go into that grocery store, remember that Yemenite guy, that Palestinian guy that he knocked out of the way, get out of my way as he stole stuff and walked out to the store. They always forget that video. That when he saw him laying in the ground there, he said to himself, I can't be making all this money at Chase Bank anymore. I got to go out and I got to create a debit card company in Newark, New Jersey, right? Because what is he going to serve? What did he say?
The underbanked.
The underbanked, meaning I got to serve myself.
I'm pretty sure their problem is they don't have money.
Eric Adams was asked, where did you meet this guy?
Well, and actually, so what's funny is he said that he met him very fortuitously on the campaign trail. And he called Mocafy a minority business that he met. Little did we know that God is going to say, there's going to be a crisis. You're going to have to meet them. It's going to cost us money to put investment in our community. So this was another one of those God statements to him.
So God motivated Eric Adams to meet this hustler, this chiseler.
Well, first he motivated New York City to be on the decline. Then this whole happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I take that back.
That was part of God's plan, too.
He's not a hustler. He's not a chiseler. He is a budding entrepreneur in Newark who is just motivated by his holiness.
Like a Mother Teresa a little bit.
Yeah. Nothing. What was he getting, a 15% VIC on every purchase? It's okay. I don't want to sully his reputation.
He's worse than a lawyer. He takes like a third.
Now, come on, Nancy. Wait a second. There's a term for that. It's
shyster.
No, I don't want to use that term.
Swindler?
I don't want to use that term.
Okay.
No. It's sort of exploitation.
Okay, opportunist.
Yes, okay. All right, all of those combined. But remember, his enabler is Eric Adams. Now, you mean to tell me Eric Adams, the mayor, meets this guy while he's campaigning for mayor? With all these New York firms that were throwing money at Eric Adams for mayor, because they didn't even throw me 2 cents. They're throwing money at Eric Adams. He decided to do business with a firm in Newark, New Jersey. He claimed this was going to be the panacea. This would answer all the illegal aliens means. And then on Friday, when he got the word from Team Trump, you better clean up your crime mess, he canceled the contract.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? We didn't complete a year yet because he did this in February. That's 9 months ago. So why all of a sudden, with 3 months to go in this contract, did he decide to terminate it? Because it's being investigated now. Isn't that incredible how quickly Eric Adams moves when an investigation is launched on something that looks so nefarious? His boo retires suddenly from a no-show job because she is being investigated by the Department of Investigation. And he cancels this contract because all of a sudden there's an investigation of it.
His pilot programs go nowhere.
Well, they may end up not investigating it now that he's cleaned up the crime scene. But Nancy, we are charging you with the responsibility to continue the deep dive on this because we want our money back.
Yeah, and actually to say that you are sort of helping these local businesses, that's not really true because unlike the Snap cards, which you can only use in the stores, this is like a MasterCard, like a debit card. You can withdraw money, including international ATMs, so they could just take these cards and go. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it's like a debit card. You can actually withdraw ATMs.
Hold on a second.
No baby food required.
He told us this is like a Snap card.
No, it's...
Hold on a second. I want you to play that again because our mayor has a problem sometimes dealing with the truth. But listen to how he described this new card. This was going to be the panacea. This was going to provide nutritious, healthy food and products for the illegal aliens that we didn't want. They get free cell phones, smartphones, get health care, and got this. It's not even a Snap card, as Nancy has described it. You can actually use it anywhere in the world. Listen to how he described it, ladies and gentlemen, back in February when Nancy Cole busted him.
We have to recycle this money back into our local economy because we're spending this money anyway. So how do we put it back into our local economy? They hire locally and they stay in the community. So these cards are going to go to bodegas, grocery stores, supermarkets. Local businesses are going to benefit. Second, how do we save money? It made no sense delivering the food and then some of the food that we were delivering people didn't want. So here's your debit card with a dollar amount that is lower dollar amount, smarter way to do it. It's going to save $600,000 a month and $7.2 million a year. Avoid food waste and is focused on baby supplies and food.
Because they didn't want to eat the food.
So it's helping the local economy by hiring a Jersey company to give money to Venezuelan migrants. That worked out well.
Now, there's another part of this. The only way to qualify for this is you could not be a single able-bodied young man of military age with nothing to do and nowhere to go, or a single able-bodied young lady with nothing to do and nowhere to go. You had to be a family.
Oh, gosh.
So let me tell you the scam that went on in Floyd Bennett Field, in Creedmoor and Randall's Island that had the big tents that I protested against. But what the hell? People would say, give them a chance.
We have the American dream.
That's right. Remember the baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph? They were told, remember your Bible lessons, Jonah? There's no room in the inn. They were illegal aliens, yes, in the Holy Land. They were just like Joseph and Mary and the little baby Jesus in swaddling cloth. Jesus didn't have a debit card. Oh, that's right. The three kings came, right, and gave him gifts.
Does Jesus sell candy on the subway, too?
And little drinks and churro. Remember those little churros?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
So this is the scam that followed that. You had to be a family to qualify. So you got $350 a week on this scam card. That's what I call it, scam card. But you had the mother and kids. There are plenty of them, but you had to find a guy. So they would talk amongst one another at these shelters, and they would say, let's pretend to be a family, and then everybody can divide up the money every week on the card. $350 times 2 is $700. Times 2 is $1,400. That's $1,400 that they didn't deserve. So you had fake families come together. And the people who ran these shelters knew that. And they looked the other way because we don't want to rile them up. They might stab us and rob us and attack us and, just act up. So let well enough alone. So what happened on Friday? Suddenly, miraculously, the mayor announced, cancel. I got to clean up my crime scene. First, I took care of my boo. What was her name?
Tracy Collins.
Tracy Collins retired, you see, from that no-show job. See? My hands are clean like Pontius Pilate. And now you don't have to worry about no stinking debit card anymore. That's canceled.
Yeah, he said that given the city's constant decrease in the migrant population, there was no need to renew the emergency contract. So apparently they don't need to eat anymore. We're good.
Yeah, it's good. They've learned.
To do without.
That's right. Because they realize if we have to live on a budget,
there you go.
They got to live on a budget. Up next, on election night, how could Joe Biden have gotten 80 million votes in the year 2020 against Donald Trump, who was the president at that time? And yet, on election night, Kamala Harris had 60 million votes that eventually shrunk down. But still, both sides, both the left and the right, are getting conspiratorial about this because they both agree. Something about that doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense to me or Nancy either.
I'm the Biden of Brooklyn.
WABC. Talk Radio 77 WABC. New York's talk station with the king of New York. Curtis Sliwa, 77 WABC. Now to the Bernard McGurk studios of 77 WABC and Curtis Sliwa.
Joe Biden is asleep. Kamala is at a dance party with Beyonce. Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Beyonce. Party with Beyonce. Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce. Dance party with Beyonce.
This is what the election turned out to be. MAGA supporters, Donald Trump versus all the trendoids, freakazoids, jet setters out there, led by Thunder Thighs, herself fiance, who Dominic Carter adores. He'll be in here at 11 o'clock after the Animal Welfare Hour. Trust me, up next, we're going to be talking about the plight, the murder, kidnapping of Peanut the squirrel. And the saga continues. And the escape of 43 monkeys in South Carolina in a research laboratory, and the laboratory says, oh, but they weren't there for research and experimentation. Yeah, right. Let's deal with this, though. Can you believe it? You just heard the promotion about how WABC, for the very first time, is going to be broadcasting live from the Veterans Day Parade. You can come out and meet and greet us all, John and Margot, Chad, the whole crew will be out there, the personalities, the behind-the-scene personnel that maybe you've heard about from time to time, but you never really get to greet and meet. We'll be there with all the spectators along both sides of Fifth Avenue. starting at 12 noon to 3 p.m. I do the first hour, which is 12 to 1. Nancy's going to be there with me. So is Anthony, my oldest son. He'll be holding the American flag again, right next to the WABC tent, just like he did for the Columbus Day Parade. But understand, you're so used to going to the Columbus Day Parade every year where we broadcast live. That's 59th and 5th. Don't go there. We're going to be at 30th and 5th because once they do the wreath commemoration, then they start marching up 5th Avenue to 52nd. Men and women who served in peacetime or wartime, they were auxiliaries, they're supporters, and we're going to be there to honor them on this Veterans Day. You know what's happening up at Columbia University, Nancy? They're having a celebration at Columbia University, not for the veterans. They are having the first ever annual anti-Veterans Day protest to honor martyrs of the U.S. war machine. And they promise that they're going to have out the hibachi grills and burn a lot of American flags. And they dare any veterans to come on to campus and try to stop them. This is what higher education does. I am so happy that I am considered a high school dropout, kicked out of Brooklyn Prep in 1972, my senior year, by the Jesuits, and I said I'll never look back, and I never did. These are supposed to be our top universities, right? Columbia, Georgetown. Oh, Trump won. Could I have my milk and cookies and my coloring book? What? A coloring book? And now this is therapeutic for the students in Columbia who are suffering from post-traumatic Trump syndrome that he has won. So they're going to have the first ever anti-Veterans Day parade and flag burnout and cookout. You're going to have the hibachi grills and then telling everyone, bring your American flag so we can burn it. And you know how much money we give these universities, and they have endowments, and they don't pay taxes, and then they buy up property in the surrounding areas like Columbia does, and it comes off the tax rolls. That needs to end. But let's deal with the situation that John Catsimatidis brought to our attention right at the end of the evening of Tuesday night, when it was becoming increasingly more apparent that Donald Trump might actually win the popular vote throughout the United States and might even sweep all the battleground states, which eventually he did. But there was a differentiation of Joe Biden in the midst of the lockdown and pandemic, where there were no rallies. He had very few rallies, maybe 15 people would show up. He ended up with 80 million votes. Kamala Harris that night had 60 million. This was a political campaign like in 2016 when Hillary had rallies and Trump had rallies. In fact, rallies really propelled Donald Trump in 2016. Some folks believe that 2020, the year that you could barely have a rally, he tried one. Remember in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 19,000 in that indoor stadium, and people were getting sick from coronavirus, and some actually died, and they basically cut back on all the rallies because that really gives him the juice. And also, he was defending himself as president. He wasn't on the offense like he was in 2016 and 2020. But everyone is still wondering, on both the left and the right-hand side, how could there be a 20 million differentiation? Who is responsible for that? This is the first time the left is now wondering if the electoral process is fair and square, because obviously during 2020, the right was all mishigash about that. Have you come to any conclusions yet on that?
Well, my theory is that maybe a lot of people have just moved, and when they moved, their previous polling location, maybe they never just, had new information assigned to it. Maybe there's also some cleaning of roles that finally happened to some extent.
So you're not quite sure yet?
I'm not sure. But again, I find it just kind of odd that you can still be accepting the ballots days after the election happens, even considering that they're postmarked, so like later than the election. I just find it a little bit haphazard how everyone seems to have different rules in terms of how they count, or you can't really verify if your vote actually was counted. I find that whole process.
Well, I'll tell you what, this requires more of a deep dive on your part, because now we have people on the left and the right complaining about this. And all of them are blaming different factors, but nobody has yet been able to pin it down. So, for instance, let's say moving. We know a lot of people have moved out of blue states to red states, especially south of the Mason-Dixon line. The greatest exodus has been from our own New York State, Connecticut, New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, California, Washington, Oregon. We know that. So they have fled almost in total to south of the Mason-Dixon line, red states. The other thing that I think we're going to notice now that Trump says on day one, I'm going to deport the illegal aliens. It's about 11 million, maybe more. He says, I'm going after the criminal ones first. Watch what's going to happen. There are a lot of illegal aliens in the red states. Do you think they're going to go home? They're going to say, I don't want to get caught up in this web that Trump is going to put out, maybe with the National Guard, with ICE, La Migra, Immigration and Naturalization Service. No. I'm going to go back to my country of origin. Or do you think they're all going to seek sanctuary in sanctuary states and sanctuary cities like us, like New Jersey, like Connecticut? And they're going to leave the red states. And boy, they're all going to move here and think that they can hide and that Tish James will defend them till the day she dies.
Yeah, right. Good luck with that.
This is going to be very interesting. So by January 20th, we will probably have the greatest mass migration in America of illegal aliens picking up in red states where they're subject to being picked up and deported, and then seeking sanctuary in all the cities. Sanctuary. Look, Eric Adams, as much as he's swapping spit with Trump now because he wants a pardon, he wants a commutation, he said we're still a sanctuary city. Holcomb says we're a sanctuary state. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you pack your bags and you head south to red states, just know your place will be occupied by squatters coming in who are illegal aliens escaping the Trump deportation.